So this is the decision process that I recommend to people when they're looking at EMRs. I will tell you too, what's really hard is our industry is absolutely backwards technologically. Like, I've never been in an industry where like I had to log in and show a very talented physical therapist how to check their email. I've had to do that multiple times. So when we talk about switching EMRs, I've never had an EMR switch where people didn't absolutely hate it for the first month, minimum. Like, that's a guarantee no matter how much better the system ended up being. So having had a number of years of experience as a PT owner, and now even more in depth as I coach dozens of companies across the country, it's become pretty evident what to look for me. This is my 2 cents, what to look for. And then I'll give you a current like state of the union as of January 2023 as to where I feel like they are. And I'll even give you a projection of where they're going. So my current assessment is that as WebPT continues to fumble their customer service, they're not keeping up with technology, they're going to have a major shift in their market share, which is now allowing other softwares to grow. And there's a couple of new softwares, Prompt being one of them, that are really cutting edge that are going to take advantage of that and grow exponentially. So what I created here, let me go over to my board. First, let's talk about the criteria for the EMR, if you can read my handwriting. The first thing, and this is a bit in order of priority, in my opinion. It's not because I own a medical billing company. It's because I've seen the impact of the revenue cycle management piece. That's the billing software. That's the over-the-counter co-pays and these kinds of things. The first thing I assess with each EMR is how efficient is their billing. Guys, this is the thing. No matter who does your billing, whether it's outsourced or in-house, people are going to get used to what they know. And there's so many different systems out there. Again, my billing company has worked in a number of them, is that we've not only been in them, but we've also learned that some good softwares just take a long time to learn. So in the end, what I'm talking about is the overall efficiency of that billing software. So in the end, how useful is it? Because someone's going to get used to a less efficient software and love it because it's what they know, but it's going to take them more time to get your money. So it's either going to cost you more money to get your money, or it's going to delay your money or result in you only getting the low-hanging fruit. So that's why I always looked at the RCM. It's the piece for most PT owners that's not even on their radar because they don't even know how to assess it. And so this is me assessing all of them and telling you, from ranking order, who I like the most down to who I like the least. But going back to this list, the first thing we look at is the revenue cycle. How well can we get our money? The second thing, as was mentioned before, is support, customer service. Support is more than just helping us feel good. I qualify this as a company that's able to make changes and pivot quickly. We are in a technologically driven world. How quickly can a company gather data and make a change? How many complaints do they get about a certain feature or requests about a certain feature before it gets done? That's a huge part of whatever software gets my validation, because those softwares are going to thrive. And I believe this is probably the downfall of WebPT, is their support. They haven't pivoted. It's archaic when you're in it. All these things. The third are cloud-based services. So cloud-based services, this may not be on most people's top list, but I will tell you why it's in my top 3, is that we are pivoting in the biotech world to artificial intelligence. We're pivoting to automation of systems and services. So this can range from marketing campaigns. WebPT actually has a great company they work with called Strive. I think it's Strive Hub. Really powerful software. I used them independently before. But not just that, but how can I schedule online? How can I make my co-pays through text messaging? These cloud-based services make it easier for people to come into our company and pay us. And so that's why it's right up there with the other 2 things. So from there, this next one, it's an obvious one, but I would say almost all softwares are pretty good at this 4th thing. But the reason it's in my top 7 is because it is in the 4th position is because you have to make sure it's there, which is compliance. How well does that software keep up with the ever-changing regulations from federal payers and so on? Number 5 is then metrics. So metrics is how accurately and how easily can I generate the numbers I need to look at in order for me to run my business. So there is, again, a number of softwares out there who to this day are not completely accurate And I don't know how they even exist other than the fact that our industry is archaic from a technological perspective. So like the fact that I have to teach PTs how to check their email is the only reason why, in my opinion, some of these softwares are still in business. Then there's the obvious documentation piece. Guys, I will tell you this, and I think it was said earlier, I don't think it really matters. The actual thing we're hiring the software to do, I think they're all fairly similar at. I really believe that. After talking to literally dozens and dozens of companies, this is the thing that really gets people. And then lastly, the bells and whistles. What other features and benefits do they have? It's the least important piece, but it's good to look at. And I put it intentionally in the 7th position because I have many a friend who've bought the software because of the bells and whistles as their top priority. They got so excited about the way it looked or any of those other things. So I'll just get really nitty gritty about like my top, where I see the current situation and where I see the future going with EMRs. So when it comes to the companies that in my mind that do the overall best at these things, and this isn't in a particular order, but my favorite EMRs are Clinician until WebPT purchased them. I don't know with the acquisition if it's going to change, but there's many reasons, and all 7 of those reasons are in there. They're probably the weakest at the cloud-based functioning, which is my top 3. Like they don't have a lot of that type of services. So I even hesitate in recommending them, even though I personally use them for years, because they are now owned by a company that's proven that they're not going to pivot into the times. So they're already a little behind the mark on those things, and I don't see how they're going to progress because of their new ownership. The second company that I recommend, the second company I really like is Prompt. Prompt is powerful. I love Mike Dreyer. I think they're doing a great work over there. I predict they will be the #1 EMR eventually down the road, but they're learning. So here's the downside of Prompt currently is that they're still really young and learning, and they're growing really fast. So I believe that will be countered by their amazing customer support. They've got a lot of bells and whistles. The look and the design is really good. That's usually what gets people interested in them. Where they currently are struggling are on their RCM side. Mike's been working with me and he's great. They're going to get there. There's no question. But it is, in my opinion, from a billing perspective, one of the clunkier of the ones. And it's hard because I know they're doing everything they can to make that work. But billing and collecting is a very complicated beast. And so, but I have no doubt because of their amazing support that they'll get there, and all those other items. The third company I really like, is MW Therapy. So MW Therapy, I think, is a really beautiful blend of an experienced EMR that's been around for over a decade with cutting edge technology. Amazing customer support from my experience. I have a number of my clients, friends who are in that software who really like it. Their billing is in the top %. Clinician's billing software is the top in the industry. MW is right behind it. So their RCM management is phenomenal. And again, I've got teams of billers that work in all of them. And this is all of their consensus. This isn't like this biller likes this software. I surveyed 30 billers in my company independently. What's your favorite billing software? And it's Clinician and MW are the top 2 every time. So also they're very cutting edge, very quick to like turn things around if you work with them. So those are my top 3. And remember, like that may not be the best fit for everybody, but that's where I recommend is in that 3 groups of softwares. I don't have any experience with Hino. I know Katie, the CEO, but I haven't worked in it. So so it's not an exhaustive assessment, but apart from Hino, I've worked in just about all the other ones. I can't, anyone of significance. I will tell you, for me, TheraOffice is on the very bottom of the list below WebPT. It has the second worst, clunkiest software for billing, inaccurate business metric reporting, very good documentation though. Like that's the thing that gets it going, is that it's very good at documenting. And then Raintree, I love the company. I think they're doing great things for larger companies, but you said it best. Small companies, it is not built for. And we recently went through a 6-month transition to get one client on board. And it was the hardest experience of our lives. we were promising to bring over dozens of clients potentially. And with all the great connection we had, it still was a miserable experience for the small clinician. So, more the enterprise level, I think Raintree is probably the best because they're built for it. All these other softwares are more built for the small private practice. So yeah, those are my recommendations.